everybody, my name is Goitse and we're here at the Sling factory today and we're going to be checking out the Sling TSi. So I'm in the market for a new aeroplane and I thought why not try out South Africa's top leading aeroplane. So today we're going to be doing a test flight with Sean Russell, who is the test pilot here at Sling, and I'm super excited because this is my first aeroplane that I'll be buying and I'm super excited to explore, to test it out and look at the capabilities of the aeroplane.
Good. Sean Russell.
Goitse, nice to meet you.
Welcome to Sling Aircraft, man. This is our flagship aircraft, the Sling TSi. I believe you come to fly today.
I'm super excited to try out the airplane and to see its features. Yeah.
Great stuff, man. Let's give it a go.
Awesome.
You want to go around and jump in?
Yeah, perfect.
Welcome to our flagship model, the Sling TSi. It's fitted with a Garmin G3X primary flight display, as well as the GMC 507 autopilot controller, and the G3X as a backup. As you can see, we've got no analog gauges here. Yeah. All antiquated, old-time stuff. The safety belt is a little bit much like a car. It's on your left-hand shoulder. You can just pull it across and strap yourself in. In the meantime,
it's a nice, nifty feature, easy to use.
then what we can do, we go and power up the PlayStation salon. Alright, starting over here, we've got on the left hand side, we've got the manifold pressure, engine RPM, engine oil pressure, oil temperature, coolant temperature, EGTs and manifold temperature, as well as the fuel quantity. Yeah. But it's quite limited in information, so just touch anywhere there on the left hand side of them. There we go, and it opens up a more advanced side of the engine management system. So now we've got the individual EGTs, the coolant temperature, and then the fuel quantity left and right. And although the tanks say 75, it isn't actually in fact full, but the fuel tank senders only read up to 60 liters because of the dihedral of the wings. Yeah. The fuel sender being right here at the root, obviously it's bottoming out, so those won't come down for a while. Liters per hour fuel pressure, which is very, very important, and then there's two voltages, one being the backup voltage and one being the actual voltage of the battery. And this airplane doesn't have any toe brakes, it's situated with a handbrake. And how we apply the brake, we simply pull it and we turn this little switch here to the on position. Yeah. The motor is the Rotax 915 engine. It's a little over 1480 cc's and it's developing 141 horsepower. Wow. It's a lot of horsepower out of a small engine. Yeah. It is turbocharged, so it's boosting all the way up to 50 inches on the manifold. It's also EFI, or electronic fuel injection, which actually is nothing new in aviation. It's been around for donkey's years. The problem is that most of those EFI systems that you've ever seen before have all been single point fuel injection systems. Yeah, we've in fact got dual fuel injection systems. So you can imagine the complexity of this engine where it's got two independent fuel injection systems working independently, yet can help each other out should they need to. So that's quite a lot of software going on there. We don't have magnetos like a normal engine. We have what they call lanes, lane A, lane B, almost like alternators. So when we're doing the run-up check, you won't see any significant drop in RPM because it actually doesn't physically kill a set of plugs like a conventional engine. We basically just wait for the light to go off. So if the light goes back off, we're good to fly. Okay. Coming back to the engine runs at high fuel pressure, 3.2 bar of fuel pressure. The pumps are situated up front here on the firewall, and we need to prime the system before we start the engine. Much like a motor car, first thing in the morning when you turn the key, you sometimes hear the fuel pump go psh. Yeah. The same thing needs to happen here. We just have to do it manually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put both lanes on, both fuel pumps, and then we have this ECU backup switch, which is in fact an emergency go-to switch. Yeah. In the event of an unlikely event, this is your switch you would go to. It will independently power up the ECU so that it runs it separately from the aircraft consumer wiring. In this case, I'm going to use it to prime up the system. When I switch it on, you'll audibly hear the pumps running. The engine is busy running self-check at the moment. The lights have gone out, which means it's happy with all the electronics in the engine, and the fuel pressure has come up. At this point, because we don't have any mechanical fuel pumps, we're going to solely reliant on electric fuel pumps. We're going to cycle these pumps to make sure that they're both working. Audibly, I can still hear the pump running, and I still indeed do have a fuel pressure. Pump back on, this one off. I can hear that pump, and the fuel pressure is there. We start with only one fuel pump. and the ECU backup switch goes off now. Right, the brakes are on. And what you can do is now that very cheap little key over there, you can turn it through to the start with the start clear prop. And what we're looking for is, on start, we're looking for an immediate oil pressure. If we don't get oil pressure immediately, we're going to shut the engine down. You can go ahead and turn that key.
Okay. And one thing to notice about this airplane is the space that you have. From outside it looks very small and everything.
Nice and spacious, yeah.
Yeah,
unlike some airplanes where 5 minutes into the flight you want to tell them to move up.
Yeah. It
absolutely is roomy.
And the seats are just spectacular. Very comfortable. I'm seated in the right position. I'm really impressed.
The engine to run up takes you out done at 4,000 RPM. The RPM is indicated over there. As we're going through 3,000, we're making sure the brakes are holding, which they are. And just because it's too far for me to reach, you can go ahead there, that lane B, you can just switch the switch off, and you can switch it straight back on again. And we're simply waiting for the light to go out. If the light goes out, it's running a self-check at the moment, it's making sure that everything is working. You do the same with lane A now, and straight back on again. And the reason why we don't wait is because it's FADAC controlled. It's monitoring the resistance on all the plugs and bits and pieces there. So as long as that light goes out, it isn't flashing or on solid, we're good to fly. In actual fact, you will never actually get a mag drop, because if I turn this off, I'm shutting down certain parts of the engine. Firstly, the RPM will actually increase, as you can see. But now it starts shutting down certain sensors. So that's the reason. So it does a self-diagnosis. No need to wait whatsoever. At this point, we're going to check the auxiliary fuel pump. Put that on. Main fuel pump off. The pressure is still stable. And we're going to check our gearbox or our propeller. Put it into the manual mode. Audibly, we can hear the propeller change pitch. All the way back. It's a variable pitch propeller or a constant speed propeller. It's managing its own RPM. At the moment, I've just tested the full manual mode, but I'm going to test the constant speed. If I just put it there, it wouldn't do anything, so I'm going to give it something to work with. And I say go back to 4,000, and off it does.
That's awesome. I mean, this is different from the conventional
very simple,
blue lever,
I'll explain now and check the idle. And these motors, they always tend to and prefer to be above 2,000. Not 2,000 exactly, just above 2,000. You can feel the big propeller, 72 inch. Coming to the propeller, it's very straightforward. We've got takeoff, climb, and cruise. Okay. It works 141 horsepower over there, about 130 odd horsepower over here, and down to the 120 horsepower here. The engine is set to run max continuous 5,500 RPM all day long.
Wow.
So basically, we can run it in the climb setting all day long. It's at its fastest in the climb setting, but you can use the cruise if you want to, but no significant benefit.
Awesome.
Flaps over here, we've got 3 stages of flaps, 10, 20, 30 degrees. Mine are going down, yours are going down. And we come back to the takeoff position. Right, you get to fly.
I'm awesome, thank you.
Sit back and enjoy the flight, sir.
Oh, I'm super excited.
Once airborne, we're going to check the nose forward, look for VY74 and a positive climb.
Wow. Absolutely fantastic.
We're over 1,200, 1,300 feet per minute now.
That's amazing. 1,300 feet at about 8,000 feet. That's fantastic.
Full fuel.
Wow.
Right, 500 foot mark. Comes quite quickly with this airplane. From left to right, auxiliary fuel pump off. In this case, I'm going to leave it on because we're staying quite close by. And there we go. Flaps up and the proper to climb. Immediately the RPM comes down to 5,450 where it's covered. I'm going to turn to the left.
Absolutely fantastic.
Stable in the pitch axis as well. If I pull the nose up of this airplane, it's probably expected to fly into the stall. All that's going to happen is going to put its nose down. 3 oscillations later, keeping the wings level. It'll enter straight back into straight and level flight. Yeah, we're on the way down now.
I mean, you've got all the safety features that you need, should something go wrong as the pilot is flying, and I think that is absolutely impressive.
One of the nicest things about these Garmin autopilots is that, I've flown with a lot of autopilot systems, is that this one is not hard coupled to the controls. It's magnetically coupled, so you can still override it.
And I feel almost, because of the comfort on the controls, I feel almost, I can feel every single sensation. And it gives me just that confidence to know that I am flying this airplane.
BFE is 85. Flaps 1, 2, 3, and look, we're ready to land from 155 knots.
Wow, that was about like 5 seconds of That's incredible.
Just to show you as well, what I'll do is I'll land the aircraft to the right of the runway, which is grass is a simulator off-base landing with a short field. I'll try not to hit that kivit over there.
And Papa Bravo Delta, exchange to 124 decimal 4. Launch to Panorama, bye-bye, next time.
Okay, so our best guess is we're down in under 200 meters from 150 knot approach.
Wow. From 150 knots to about 200 meters.
Onto this rough terrain. See this yellow line over here?
Yeah.
This is 150 meters from the fence.
That's absolutely incredible.
There's not a lot of wind, there's only 3 knots of wind. I'll have this airplane airborne at almost 7,800 on the DA, 7,600. 10 meters before that yellow line, and I'll have you close to 1,000 foot before we cross the threshold of 1-1. Flaps 1, flaps 2, and we can go fly 125 meters odd. And like I said, 1,000 foot by the threshold.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. And you can feel that power rush, especially once you release that brake. And it gives you the confidence that the aeroplane's got that available power for you, especially for those short fields. Yeah.
So you can absolutely see with this kind of power available, we can just cross the end of the runway, we're at 1,000 feet.
Absolutely incredible. It's incredible how even when you sort of take it to almost towards the limit, it doesn't do that violent thing that most airplanes do where suddenly they'll shake or you'll feel that vibration.
No vices whatsoever. Nothing whatsoever.
It's just that extra level of comfort and the confidence that you have into the machine. And I think that's super impressive about this airplane.
It's a really, really nice confidence builder, yeah. Like I said earlier, I mean, it is the kind of airplane you can wake up in the morning, you can open up a map of South Africa, you can drop a pencil there, you can fly there, not worry about the landing, not worry about fuel because you've got more than enough fuel to go to. We've got over 8 hours endurance into this airplane. With the long range tanks, you've got 13 hours endurance.
Wow.
And if you take Cape Town's only about 5 hours away, Durban is under 2. It really is, this is a traveller.
It's really the perfect airplane, fit for especially a young buyer like me where during the week I'd like to do some business, but during the weekend, take some friends out for a nice golf day somewhere or a cycling trip or just go and see the country. I think I'm super, super impressed. It's absolutely fantastic. And it's one thing to read about it, and it's another thing to fly an airplane and test out its capabilities.